Microsoft just released their competitor to Grammarly. Let's take a first look. So here we are on my second monitor that is right in front of me, and this is the Microsoft News Bar. So if you're familiar with the old Windows 7 and Windows Vista days, where Microsoft had a bunch of what they called gadgets, what most of us would call widgets, this is similar to that, only this is mainly for news. So on this one, you can get your stocks, you can get your news, and obviously with the recent times, I'm not going to say the word, but with the recent times of what's going on, if you're watching this, the day it comes out, you'll know what I'm talking about. Most of the news is really going to just be covering one thing. But this is fed directly from their MSN page, which also gets their news from various sources, various partners. And so what you're doing is it allows you to see the news that is being shown there, but you don't have to have the browser open. You can rather just hover over and see that, oh, this happened, or, you know, aquarium penguins appear confused to see giant penguin statue. These aquarium penguins appear confused. Or you can see here, you know, this stuff here of the onshore quarantine stuff, or you can see this football stadium here, the British Open. And it's like, based on me just seeing this as the first look, it looks as if it's telling you just a brief, like under each time when I hover over it. So let's say this one here, the penguin statue. It's like it's telling me that brief secondary headline, if that's what you call it. So you have the main headline, which is aquarium penguins appear confused. But then you get underneath that kind of offset, you have these aquarium penguins appear confused. So obviously that's kind of redundant of a headline. It kind of doesn't add to anything. But it's an interesting application, I gotta say. This is one of the ways you can view it. Now you can view it on the top of your screen, you can view it on your other screens, you can view it left, right, bottom. In fact, by default, when I had it installed at first, it defaulted to having it at the bottom of right above my taskbar. So it was kind of strange having it at the bottom, but I mean, I understand why you would do that. You can also minimize it if you want to, which just gets rid of it altogether. It just keeps it in the taskbar, and then when you click on it, it comes back to where it last was. You can click the arrow or swipe. I have no touchscreen, so I can't do that. But you can click the arrow or swipe, and you can see more of the news things going on, like this one here, Harley Davidson things. Or if you hit the settings button, it jumps up to this window here, and it starts off at appearance. And this is where you see that you can set the position. So if I want it to be at the bottom, left, if I want it to be at the right, so when it's at the right, it pops up here. And this is probably what you're familiar with if you're familiar with Windows Vista, where all the gadgets really showed up like on the right side. And then you can choose what kind you want, whether you want it to be text. So if you have text and it's on the right, it's going to show the pictures, and it's going to show the headline. And then on top of that, if you go to image, it's only going to show the image. Whereas if you change it to like the top or bottom, so if I change it to the top and I choose image visualization, it only seems to show the pictures. And then when I hit text, it shows like a little, almost like a NASDAQ stock market room, just like the little lines. And this actually scrolls on its own as you're not paying attention to it. I don't know how long it takes for it to scroll, but this actually starts scrolling on its own as you're not paying attention to it. And then you can set different things. So you can set it to be transparent, so it's like this. So you see it scrolling now. It's kind of fast for the scrolling. Or you can set it to match the Windows theme. I just kept it the same. And then you can set the different monitors. So I have two monitors, so I can set it as on my primary monitor or my secondary monitor. Let's keep it at the secondary. And then the news, you see that it just lets you see the news it says in addition. I'm pretty sure this just means the language that you're trying to view it in. Stocks, you can set the stocks that you want to use. So I set up just like two stocks. By default, it shows the Microsoft stock. I threw in AMD just because why not? It's a company that I love. So you can add more stocks. If you want to add like Apple, APPL, you can do that. So then see Apple or AAPL, or if you want to add, I don't know, Tesla, which is TSLA, you can see that. You can choose the different markets that you want to add it in. Just choose like NASDAQ, and you can see that Tesla gets added up top there. And then next up, you have the options menu here. So it says auto restore when minimized. So what happens is after 2 hours, when it's minimized, it'll auto restore what happens. So basically it'll pop back up and be like, and show you the headlines after 2 hours every time you minimize. And then you can just clear the entire application, all the settings and things like that. So what happens when you click on a story? So let's say, let's say I click on this Tesla article. What happens when I click on the story is, let's bring this up. You see that the news bar stays above everything that you're doing, or below everything that you're doing. And you can see that it brings up MSN Money, obviously, because it's a stock thing. So it brings up MSN Money, and it's the website. So Windows 10 does have a news application here. See, Windows 10 used to have a news application. Doesn't have it anymore unless I deleted it. But Windows 10 used to have a news application. Normally, that thing would just pop up with the news thing. In fact, let's take a look and make sure if Windows 10 has a news application. Give me 2 seconds. So here I'm seeing, yep, Microsoft News. So what I'm going to do, since this is a first look, I'm going to actually see what happens if I install Microsoft News on my computer. And let's see if it brings up the MSN website or if it just pops it into Microsoft News. So let's take a look. All right, so with MSN News installed or Microsoft News installed, when you click on anything, let's say documentaries you can stream right now, when you click on it, it still brings up MSN, the website, which obviously doesn't make any sense because I just installed Microsoft News and it didn't open up the application. So that's just, I guess, future-proofing themselves that way. If they want to kill Microsoft News like they killed a lot of the other basic pro apps on Windows 10, they can do that. So you can't actually click on an article, and if you have the news app installed, it won't just bring up the news app. It'll bring up, it'll still bring up the website no matter what happens. So that's interesting, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's not something that I like. I wish they brought up the application if you have it installed. But so here are some of my gripes with this application here. It's kind of, I feel like, one, it's a waste of space. I feel like we're past having, I know we're having, iOS is bringing widgets finally in where you go to the, the lock screen and widgets appear if you want to add some. But like, I feel like we should be past the widgets thing on Windows now, or news bar widgets or whatever you want to call it. The other thing is some of the formatting. For instance, this article here, if I click on like any of these articles, or if I want to view any of these articles, let's say disappointing photos that show what's really here. So if you hover over and you see the space right before the final word on the sentence, the them, you see how much space is between that and the picture. And then if I go to this one here, you see how much space is there. It's just, they take up too much space. I think they're trying to keep everything even, but I feel like the app takes up too much space. They should have shrunk it a little bit. I don't know. It's weird. And then also here, in the settings for this application, it's kind of a waste of space to me. I feel like what should have happened was, I understand that they want the whole program to have the same size fit. So like if I shrink it, it shows up that. And then if I shrink it all the way, it only shows that. But like, I feel like the appearance thing here, they could have done something, whether stretch out this top bottom thing. Yes, the text doesn't take up a lot of room. Maybe stretch it out a little bit. Do something to add more to this appearance screen. I don't know exactly off the top of my head, this being a first look. The news thing here, like I was complaining about before for this thing, I feel like if you have a news app installed, like the Microsoft News app, I feel like it should open up the news app, the article in the news app, because it is coming from the same place. It's MSN, which stands for Microsoft News. And then the stocks is fine, actually. You can do a lot with it. You can see your stock market things. And then the options, I guess it's fine. They're going to add more in the future. It is just a beta. And then another thing, you see it's scrolling above right now to each next article. I think the scrolling needs to be a little smoother, and also the scrolling needs to be a little slower, because it's kind of distracting when you're typing away or something, and then all of a sudden that article is just like really parallax scrolling, and it's kind of distracting your eye. That's part of why I don't really believe that this application should even exist, but that's just me. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it was necessary to really make this. I don't know whose idea it was, but I understand it's in beta. I hope they improve it more, but the fact that Microsoft is killing a lot of their basic applications that was on Windows 8 and 10, I don't know why this is now coming out, but I guess it is what it is. We'll see what comes through with it when it comes out in final release, if it comes out to final release before it's dead. But yeah, that was a quick first look at the Microsoft News Bar. It's in beta, of course. You can get it for free on the Windows Store. I'm going to see if I can take a look at some other things later on. I have some new things coming up. I'm going to try to keep this consistent. As always, my name is Kwaku. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'm not even going to say that bell, but I said the word anyway. Yeah, hope you like this video. My name is Kwaku. Take care, everyone, and stay safe.